Few people know that there was once a hospital on the Hill of Howth, tucked away down a dusty lane and served only by an electric tram. It was contained by Windigate Road to the north and Carrickbrack Road to the south, with the Great Northern Tramway in the middle. One got off at Stella Maris Halt and walked uphill to the hospital. It was less than half a mile from the summit. The conductor would walk ahead of the tram and lead it through this dangerous junction with Carrickbrack Road. Passing under Fairy Hill Hospital, the tram once more entered its own private reserve. The hospital was set up by Johann Hoggerziel at the end of the Second World War. Born to a prominent family in Amsterdam who helped children of the Holocaust, she joined Dr. Robert Collis, the head of paediatrics at the Rotunda Hospital, on a mission to the Belson Concentration Camp to help displaced children. She brought several of these Jewish children to Ireland and set up Fairy Hill Hospital. She later married Dr. Collis, and Hans Collis, as she was known, died on New Year's Day in Greystones in 2005, aged 85. Those she saved were known as her special children, and they called her Mum. She was described as very beautiful and a hard-working woman. As a student, I worked for a mineral company, Savage Smith, now Cadet, and we delivered lemonade and orange to these delightful children. They wore warm red and white woolly caps, and they always seemed to be smiling. Findlaters, who had a shop near the Dart station, brought them up food and refreshments. The nurses were carefully chosen and wore a navy cape over a red dress and a little blue cap. The sound of chatting and laughter from these little children over these dusty roads is long past. This is a little bit about Bob Collis. He was born at Killiney, County Dublin. He joined the British Army in 1918 as a cadet, but resigned a year later to study medicine. He was appointed director of the Department of Paediatrics at the Rotunda Hospital, Dublin, and in 1932 physician to the National Children's Hospital, Harcourt Street. He developed neonatal services at the Rotunda, particularly for premature babies. He worked for the Red Cross in the Belson Concentration Camp after its liberation by Allied troops. He was instrumental in bringing 5 orphaned children from the camp to Fairy Hill in Ireland in 1947, and he adopted 2 of them. He met a Dutch nurse at Bergen-Belsen, Johann Hoggerziel, whom he later married. He was involved in establishing Cerebral Palsy Ireland. One of his first patients was Christy Brown, a cerebral palsy patient who later became a notable author himself. Collis proofread Brown's first attempt at an autobiography. In 1936, Collis started to write for a wider readership and published his autobiographical The Silver Fleece, which brought plaudits from literary Dublin and introductions to several of its leading members. In this wider social circle he came to meet a Jesuit, Father Joseph Canavan, who asked him to help rouse public opinion about the living conditions in poorer areas of Dublin, first seen by Collis as a student. A committee named the Citizens Housing Council, comprising prominent people from a variety of religious and political backgrounds, was formed to report and agitate about the state of the city slums, and Collis wrote an influential letter to the Irish press in 1936. These activities in turn led Frank O'Connor to ask Collis to write a play about the problem. Marrowbow Lane was declined by the Abbey Theatre, but performed at the Gay Theatre in 1939 and again in 1941. Its success stimulated the creation of a fund that contributed to the Fairy Hill Home established in Howth, County Dublin, for treatment of children with tuberculosis from Dublin's tenements, and to the formation of the National Association for Cerebral Palsy, known today as Enable Ireland. When he got married, his father gave him a house at 26 Fitzwilliam Square in Dublin as a wedding present so that he could set up his surgery. Despite his background, he had a social conscience and, with Han, wanted to help others.